Hey, and welcome to Gas Under Pressure. Continuing on with the headcam stuff here, I know that some people have been saying, gosh, you're doing this stuff, but we can't really exactly see what it is you're doing. So I'm hoping that with some of these smaller pieces for this cabin stove here, that we can show a little bit more of how exactly I'm going about fixing them. So what we've got right here, obviously, is something that is not straight at all. The main brass part is not bent. It's bent right here, and I don't want to put any force on this to straighten this out. And also, this is all kind of rusted up here, and this is kind of a this goes into the cast iron manifold, and that's supposed to be somewhat sort of kind of gas tight and prevent gas from leaking out of there, and it's pretty scrungy looking. So what I want to do is that I want to disassemble this piece here. This is also brass, so I may want to actually polish that just for the heck of it, and then kind of reassemble. But the other thing too is that on the main body of the cabin stove, where this was on the front, it was bent in, so it obviously had taken a hit, which had bent the handle down, and then also bent its mount in. So once I get everything apart, bending that piece out was pretty simple, but this is a little bit more involved. So what we have to do here, so we got to straighten out this little cotter pin here, and then hopefully wrestle this out of there. So we'll be getting some of the tools here and seeing what kind of progress we can make on this. And should be two pieces here. We can kind of use the leverage of the knob to flatten it out a little bit, so it will pull back through, and with any luck should be able to grab this here and see if we can't wiggle and twist it out. These little flat pliers like this are really helpful for this kind of thing. There we go. So it came out a little nicer than I thought. Now we can probably straighten this out a little bit more and get it back into reusable shape. Now this should just pull right out, which it does. And then that comes off. Now we have access to this. We've got access to this. And we can do a little bit of cleanup on the knob here if we like. Probably a little. I'm pretty sure this is nickel plating that's on here. And is that a bolt down there? Kind of looks like it. Anyway, so yeah, I can probably unscrew this and polish it up, or just polish it in place. So we might end up just polishing it in place. Now I can straighten this out, and that's really pretty simple matter. And as I've said before, there's a lot of things that you can fix on a Coleman stove with really nothing more than just a hammer, and this is one of them. So we're going to do exactly that. We're going to use a little anvil part here, and then check the roll on that, which is now nice and straight, so that's pretty great. I think what I'm going to do is get a little maybe I should actually use some sandpaper on this one, because this part here is a little bit rough. So we'll get a little bit aggressive on this part here that's not in that where that gland nut goes, which I'm trying to figure out where I sat down. Oh, I haven't set it anywhere because it's still in my hand. Anyway, so that kind of cleans off that, because I'm trying not to mess up the inside of that any more than I have to. So we'll just take all these high spots off of here, so that when we slide it off of here, it should be in a little better shape. So we'll just, yeah, see, that'll come off nice. That won't have any problems. And that's just a nice brass fitting, which it's just amazing how good these things look after being so old. And then we've got this this rod here, which is the eccentric, which controls the other valve. So actually, I don't want to use that. I want to use some of the steel wool here. I've got some random pieces sitting around, so we'll use that. And we just kind of want to polish this eccentric up a little bit, because it wasn't operating really smoothly. Part of that is because it was probably frozen up from the rust that was holding the rest of it in. So the burner actually right now is in the process of getting painted, and so we want to be able to put this in there and see how it works, and then we can actually control that second burner. So looks a little better. At least we can kind of see what's happening. This other end here also very rough. We'll give it a few spins with the steel wool here. See how that cleans it up. Because this is going to be the pivot point that needs to be smooth for it to be able to operate. So, right, so that is how that looks. This piece here, this part, is where I want to be a little bit more careful because, again, that's where that nut's going to ride. And we want to be careful when we polish this up here because we want it to not really remove any material. We just want to remove the rust. So the steel wool is good at doing that because it gets rid of rust, but it doesn't get rid of metal. So that is one of the big benefits of the steel wool action. So that looks pretty good. And probably what I'll do with this, I'll probably paint at least part of it. The part that probably sits out in the open here. This part here that goes through, I don't think I will because the temperatures might be kind of high and it has a good chance of that paint degrading and then gumming this up and making it not work very good. So that looks good there. So let's try a little bit of this mother's polish. You can see I haven't used that in a little while. Okay. And, oh God, that's a lot, but we'll see what happens here. So that's way too much. Blop some of this off on here, maybe. Okay. So we'll just kind of polish this up a little bit. We want to not get it on the porcelain because you could get that metal polish in there and that could turn it gray and then it just won't really want to come off. So just kind of being careful to avoid that. And those of you that haven't seen any kind of polishing being done lately or might be saying, oh my God, you're using steel wool on there, you're crazy, you're going to ruin the finish. No, this is quadruple aught steel wool. It's very, very fine. It doesn't trash any finishes, but it will polish them up nicely. So I use this on nickel all the time. Let's see how this looks. Yeah. See, that looks pretty factory, if you ask me. Oops, get the dirt off my fingers. Don't get it on the knob. Okay. You can also tell I haven't polished anything in a while because my hands cramp up pretty easily. So there you go. So that's that polished. Again, nickel is not going to be a super bright chrome. It's going to have a little bit of the darkness to it, even when it is fully polished. So this is as far as I'd expect that to go. So that looks good to me. We've got the on and the off. It also has a little bit of a buckle to it, so we're going to maybe give it a little bit of treatment here with the leather. The leather gives on both sides, so that'll help kind of flatten it out and not damage it. That's pretty flat. No, it's not. Right there is a little bit of a buckle still, right where that bolt or screw went through. So it's a little bit that way. Okay, we'll gently tap this back. Since it is brass, it doesn't take much. It's looking reasonably straight. This is an old stove, and we're not necessarily going for perfection. And, I'm not necessarily sure if I really want to polish this all the way off, because if I did, it would just go back to looking rough again. I'd have to clear coat it, which I don't think I want to do. It is a little harder to read this way, but on the other side, I kind of want to get everything back together, right? So let's go ahead and just do this. And then let's see, we need to have, what was it? Yeah, this was like this. And then that lined up there. And then we'll have to wiggle this little dude back in there. And then maybe a little bit of a convincing. No, that's just going to fold it over. So we're gonna do the reverse wiggle. So we'll just kind of wiggle, push it in this way. That seems to be working nicely. Do that, and then we'll just do what they had done on this, which is that end's pushed. Flatten this back down just like this. Oh man, and snapped it right off. What a shame. Well, that's all right. That'll be good enough for now. I can get a replacement one on that, so it's not going to be too bad. But at least our rod here is now straight, and you kind of see how that was done, and rather ham-handedly actually, huh? But yeah, this should all screw together, and then we're one step closer to having a working cabin stove. Until next time, keep them lit.